Um, Welcome to Scottsdale Big Book Meeting, where we will study the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous. Today's date is the 16th of the 11th, 2024. My name is Carol and Rob is the host today. I'm a recovered compulsive overeater from Dublin, Ireland, and I will be your co-host today. And our co-host also will be Sue, who will be doing question and answers. If you have any questions during the meeting, please contact either myself or any of the co-hosts, which is me and Sue, by private message in the chat function. We will disable until 5 minutes before questions and answers. Please note that the speaker, Harlan G, will be recorded for the duration of the study. However, the questions and answer session which follows will not be recorded. We ask if you can please make sure your microphone is on mute at all times during today's study, and also please turn off your video if you're exercising, eating, or if you need to step away from your screen for any reason. So during the meeting, we will post the Seventh Tradition link. This money goes towards the cost of our Zoom accounts, the cost of uploading our recordings, and we also send contributions to Intergroup, Arizona Serenity, in the Desert Intergroup and World Service Organization. And we'll post a link to the previous recordings to these, and they're available by clicking on the link that will be posted in the chat box. And I will now very gratefully turn the meeting over to Harlan G. Thank you, Harlan.
Thank you very much, Carol. Thank you for your service. Thank you to everybody here that does service for the meeting. And I'm so grateful that those of you who are attending are here. I would hate to think I was just sitting here talking to myself. I hope it's as beautiful a day wherever you are as it is here. It's going to be 60 degrees here today, which is cool for us, but just absolutely gorgeous and absolutely phenomenal, just phenomenal. I was lied to. I was lied to as a child. And here's the lie that I was told when I was a child, 5, 6 years old, 5 years old. If you lose weight, everything will be okay. If you lose weight, you will be amazed at the great life you're going to have. I lost a lot of weight in my day, and I'm going to tell you something that didn't happen. The world didn't change. It kept spinning on its axis. It kept going and going and going, and the world didn't say, Harlan Grabowski lost weight. Let's all stick to his script. Let's give him whatever he wants. Let's do whatever he says. Everybody, come on in, gather up, huddle up. We're going to do everything Harlan wants. You teachers are going to give him all A's, whether he does his homework or he doesn't, and we're going to make Harlan the king of earth. Didn't happen. Didn't happen. I couldn't even be the king of my block. I couldn't even be the king of my family, whatever it was. Nothing changed. I'll be damned. I was promised something by well-intentioned people, well-meaning people that did not come true. Why did they lie to me? Those stinkpots. I don't know why they lied to me. And I had to really understand something that Clancy Imislund taught. He didn't teach it just to me. He taught it to me through his podcast. Clancy Imislund is he's passed away now, but Clancy Imislund is one of my favorite AA speakers of all time. I love Joe and Charlie. I love Clancy. I love Sandy Beach. I love Bill Wilson. I love those guys, and I listen to them all the time. I learned so much by listening to these guys. Clancy Imislund said something that I was walking. I walk in the morning, Clancy Imislund said something, and I remember exactly where I was when I heard it, not when he said it, when I heard it. He said that no matter how evolved my recovery gets, I will never rise above the level of a human being. Isn't that incredible? No matter how evolved my recovery gets, I will never rise above the level of a human being. You know, we're coming up on the time of year, December 26th, is when the ads start, the advertisements start for weight loss. The biggest subject of the advertising on December 26th through about the middle end of January, gyms, weight loss, all kinds of stuff. And if you watch the commercials, they're all going to show you that when the man or the woman loses weight, they're dancing and they're riding their horse into the surf, and everything is amazing. Amazing. Doesn't go like that for me. The one thing that happens when I lose weight is I weigh less. That's the one thing that happens when I lose weight. I weigh less. And I have less body mass when I lose weight. My clothes fit better. I move better. I feel better. I look better. My health is better. But here's where it stops. The world and its people do not do what I want them to do. That's why we have step 10. That's why we have step 10, because if we were living in a biodome or laboratory, we wouldn't need step 10. Everything would be utopia, even though that's not really true. But we don't live in utopia. We live on earth. We live in the real world. We live with people that do not stick to our script. And if I'm in fit spiritual condition, which we're going to also talk about, I don't know that we'll get to it today. If I'm in fit spiritual condition, then things are going to roll off my back, but not everything is going to roll off my back. There are going to be times I need to do step 10. Now, how often do I do a step 10? Well, I do about 3, 5 of them every single day of my life. I work, which I hate, and that resentment that I have to work rears its ugly head. I drive. Drivers are often crazy. You know, they're doing their thing and I'm doing my thing, and sometimes my thing and their thing don't coincide. I live in a world where I have a romantic relationship with someone, and that is sometimes more challenging than it is on other days. I have friends, and sometimes they say things that are less smart than I remember them saying a long time ago. Sometimes they say things, do things that make me upset. I have a television and a radio and an internet, and sometimes I see things and hear things I don't agree with. How crazy am I, right? How unique am I? Not very. Not very. So, in order to cope with these feelings of fear, anger, frustration, whatever, I have to do step 10. Now, step 10 is not something I text to somebody. Step 10 is not something I email to somebody. And step 10 is not something that is done in the early morning or at night. Now, they can be done in the early morning, they can be done at night, but this is something that goes all through the day. And so I'm going to be in touch with other people. So let's take a look at page 84. And when we go to page 84, what I'd like to do is I'd like to smash through some of the myths that surround step 10. And if you've heard me on this forum, or you've heard me in the Scottsdale meetings, or you've heard me at the birthday or the vision conferences, or wherever you hear me, you're going to know that I have a theory. I have a lot of theories, but this is one of my theories. And one of my theories is that 2 and 10 are the most underutilized steps of the 12. 2 and 10 are the most underutilized steps. I hear from people sometimes that say, well, I don't have step 10s and I don't, whatever. But when I hear somebody saying that they're in relapse, and I hear somebody talking about they've worked the steps and they've done this, and I say to them, and I don't even know most of the time, you didn't do 10s, you didn't do 11, and you didn't do 12. And then they look, because I can see them on Zoom. Yes, you're right. I got caught with my hand in the cookie jar. I wasn't doing those things. So step 10 is a huge step. And in 10, we're going to continue our program. In 11, we're going to improve. And in 12, we're going to practice. There's no test on this, but I'm going to say it again. 10, 11, and 12, we're going to continue, improve, and practice. And one of the things I hate hearing, and I hear it all the time, dang it, I hear people say, yes, I worked the steps. You don't worked the steps past tense. You are working the steps in the present tense, or you're not in recovery. There is no past tense of working the steps. You are sponsoring, so you're working through everything. But when we go through this paragraph here, we're going to see how a constant diet, if you will, of step 10s will bring you through the meat and potatoes of the program several times every single day. With no further ado, let's go to page 84. This thought brings us to step 10, which suggests we continue to take personal inventory. Now, that word continue is going to be repeated 4 times in this one paragraph. And the reason that continue is going to be repeated is Bill, in his infinite wisdom, knew that oftentimes we can see steps and recovery and spiritual awakenings not as the journeys that they were intended to be, but we can see them as destinations. Is somebody letting people in? Because I keep seeing people stagnated there, so I've been letting some of them in. All right, anyway, so the bottom line is we have a situation where we need to continue our program of recovery. Very, very important. This thought brings us to step 10, which suggests we continue to take personal inventory and continue to set right any new mistakes as we go along. Now, from time to time, I will do a full-blown 4th step. If there is something that is nagging at me, if there is something that is very hard for me to come to grips with, I will do a full-blown 4th step. I will sit down and have to do it because otherwise I'm going to die. But I am taking a personal inventory by doing these 4 steps, but I'm taking a mini personal inventory by doing a 10th step. But if something is nagging and nagging and nagging, then I have to do a 4th step. But you'll know the difference because you've done your 10th step on this maybe twice, maybe 3 times, and it still seems to be nagging at you. That's when you need to do a 4th step. That's when you need to sit down. And you can do a 4th step on just 1 or 2 things. You don't have to have a list, of things to do a 4-step on. I can do a 4-step on 1 or 2 issues. Very, very important to note the difference. Okay. Continue to set right any new mistakes as we go along. Now, we're going to bust through one of the myths here. And one of the questions that I get all the time, I've been getting this question for 30 years. When do I start my sponsees on the 10th step? Here's the answer to your question. We vigorously commence this way of living as we cleaned up the past. Now, what does that mean? That means when you are being sponsored by me, and that doesn't mean I'm always right. This is how I do it. Maybe your way of doing it is different. Maybe it's better. I don't know. This is how I take that sentence. I'm going to start you on the 10th step. Why do I keep doing that? On the 10th step. We're going to do 4. We're going to do 5 actually together. Now I'm going to give you an hour. That's what it says on page 75, that we take an hour of quiet time and consider what we've done. Then I'm going to start you on 6 and 7, which shouldn't take more than a minute. I'm going to start you on 8. And then I'm going to start you on 10 and 11. 10 and 11. Why do I do it that way? Because it's necessary to do it that way. And what does the word say? We vigorously commence this way of living as we cleaned up the past, not after. So one of the mistakes that sponsors make all the time, they don't start people on step 10 until you're done with 9. Wrong, not according to the big book. Do you remember on the previous page, page 83, it talked about, if you go to page 83, the first paragraph, almost at the end, it says, so we clean house. If you look at the sentence on page 83 in the first paragraph, it says, so we clean house with the family, asking each morning in meditation, step 11, that our Creator show us the way of patience, tolerance, kindliness, and love, step 10. So they're actually showing you in a couple of places in the book that you don't wait to be done with one step. Here we're talking about step 9 on page 83, and they're talking about meditation in the morning. They're also talking about step 10 because you're talking patience, tolerance, kindliness, and love, and we're going to find out that love and tolerance of others is right in step 10. So here you're being told to start step 10 as we cleaned up the past. That means concurrently, not afterwards. What steps do we clean up the past? 4 through 9. 4 through 9. So I get you, you do your 4th step. I give you 3 hours. I don't give you 3 months. I don't give you 3 weeks. I don't give you 3 days. Nobody works on a 4th step for 3 months or 3 weeks or even 3 days. You don't do that. You sit down, you do it, but you contemplate, you think, you ponder. Come on, let's get real here. It doesn't take that long to do your 4th step. You know every answer. You know who you resent, what you resent. You know who or what you fear, and you know your sexual harms done others. Shouldn't take very long. But when you're done with 5 and you get that hour, now we're going to do 6, 7. I'm going to start you on 8. Then I'm going to start you on 10 and 11. And then I'm going to start you on 12. Real fast. Bang, 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 bang. You don't have to have time pass before you move ahead. You've got the rest of your life. So it says here, we vigorously, with action, with pep, commence this way of living, step 10, as we cleaned up the past. We have entered the world of the Spirit. For a long time in my life, I became whatever I felt you wanted me to become. If you wanted me to be a Democrat, I was a Democrat. You want me to be a Republican? I'll be a Republican. You want me to like a blue car? I'll like the blue car. You want me to like the red car? I'll like the red car. Whatever it is I needed to practice image management so you won't hate me or abandon me, I was willing to do that. When I read the words, we have entered the spirit, the world of the spirit, excuse me, that means to me that I am the person that God intended me to be. I speak the truth. If you are opposed to my view, I may not argue with you. I don't have to argue with you. But I'm going to be who I am. I'm going to be what I am because this is who God intended me to be. Especially if you were my boss or you were somebody I wanted to, date or something, I would just chameleon into something that you wanted me to be. And that doesn't work. It makes me feel horrible. It makes me feel ridden with guilt and shame and fear and anger that I have to be something other than who I am. When I have these words in my head, we have entered the world of the spirit. I don't write bad checks. I don't eat food that's not on my food plan. I don't go places. I would be ashamed if you found out I went there. I don't say things or do things that are going to bring shame upon me or guilt or remorse. What you see with me is what you get. I am who I claim to be. I am what I am. I'm like Popeye the Sailor Man. Doesn't he say in the cartoons, I am what I am or something like that? Well, I'm like Popeye the Sailor Man. I am what I am. I don't eat spinach out of the can that I crush, but other than that, I am what I am. And I'm okay with it. You know why I'm okay with it? Because when I work this program, I don't have to hate myself. Because anything or anybody other than being me was very attractive to me. The only person in the world I never wanted to be was me. I didn't like me. If you treated me the way I treated me, I would want nothing to do with you. I would cross the street to get away from you because I lied to me. And I shamed me and put myself through pitiful and incomprehensible demoralization. I did things to me I would not have done to you. I did things to me I wouldn't do to my worst enemy. I put myself through horrible, horrible shame and pain. I can't control that my mom and dad died when I was in my 20s. I can't control that I don't have brothers and sisters and aunts and uncles and nieces and nephews and all that. That was taken away from me by murder. That was taken away from my father came from a very big family. I never met one of them because they were dead before I came to earth. Someone killed them. Someone killed them. But I always wondered, why don't I have cousins? How come I don't have aunts and uncles? You tell me you come from a family of 8 children. Well, how come I don't have aunts and uncles or cousins or anything like that? They're not here. They're dead. And for what reason? Really, when you think about it, for what reason? But that's for another time. So the bottom line is, I like me and I respect me because I treat myself like I would treat you if I wanted to get in good with you. I treat myself as somebody that needs a friend like me. Isn't that weird to say? It's weird to hear me say it. It's weird to say, but I am a good friend to me. And because I'm a good friend to me, I have less regret, less remorse, less shame, less guilt. And that takes a long time in program. It takes a long time. And part of what helps heal me is this step 10. Because I learn who I am through you. We're going to get to that in just a second. Let's move forward. And then I promise I'm going to come back to that subject, okay? It says here, we have entered the world of the Spirit also means I'm conscious of God. I'm conscious of the goodness, the munificence, the mercy. I am conscious of the benevolence of God. If there was no benevolence of God, and you don't have to believe in a religious God, you don't have to believe in my God, you don't have to be of a religion, you can be an atheist or an agnostic and just feel the benefits. You can just feel the mercy and benevolence of nature, of justice, of love, of honesty, or whatever it is you believe in. I'm not telling you you have to believe how I believe. I am not an atheist. I am not an agnostic. I have pockets of agnosticism in my life where I'm reluctant to let God handle these various things. Those are pockets of agnosticism. That's why the chapter We Agnostics wasn't entitled To the Agnostic, You Agnostics, To Those Agnostics, To the Agnostic. It says We Agnostics because you may not be an agnostic. What is an agnostic? Someone who's not sure. They don't have enough knowledge. Is there a God? Is there not a God? That's what an agnostic is. But I have pockets of agnosticism because if I truly give my romantic relationship to God, then I might be in trouble. I might not get what I want. I might not get my way. If I give my financial life to God, then I may have to work harder than I want to, and I may not get my way. Notice the pattern here. I need to get, I don't need to. I want to get my way. There's a slip for you. I don't need to get my way. I'm better off if I don't get it because God knows better than me and is better than me. And he knows what I need and what's best for me better than I do. But I hold on to things because I'm reluctant to let them go. Those are pockets of agnosticism. I have a firm grasp on the fact there definitely is a God. If there wasn't a God, would the Cubs have won the World Series back in 2016? I don't think so. Would the Ducks be undefeated so far this year? I don't think so. Would I still be alive? I don't think so. I got a cardiologist appointment coming up in January. I go twice a year to the cardiologist. I'll let you in on a secret. I don't know what exactly an ejection fraction is. I have a vague idea what it is. It's the ability of the heart to blast out the blood. My ejection fraction is 50%. That's normal and that's fine. Blows me away. My blood pressure is okay. Now I'm on medication for that, but my blood pressure is okay. I'm not diabetic. Can you believe I'm not diabetic? It blows my mind. I weigh a weight that the cardiologist says is okay. You're okay. Am I in the twilight zone? A doctor, a cardiologist is telling me my weight is okay. I walk 3 miles a day, 6 days a week. What? I can get in and out of a car. I can get in and out of a chair. Some couches and love seats still stymie me, and I have a hard time getting out of them. I really do. And I have a friend of mine that has a lazy boy kind of thing. I can't get out of that thing without help. Maybe it's because I'm 70. Maybe it's because I've had hips and knees replaced. I couldn't tell you, but I have a lot of trouble with that chair to get in and out of it. It's tough for me. It is. Why am I talking about this? Because I can't get there on my own. God did for me what I could not do for myself. When I came in this program, I had to sleep on broken beds because every time I'd plop down on the bed, the side of the bed, the wood would snap. So every bed I slept on was broken. I couldn't sleep in a bed for years. I had to sleep on a chair because I couldn't lay flat and breathe. There was so much fat on my chest. I couldn't suck air out of the atmosphere laying flat. I sleep on my back. I couldn't lay flat and breathe. So I slept in a chair for years. All right, let's move forward. Our next function is to grow in understanding and effectiveness. How do I do that specifically? I have to grow in understanding and effectiveness. Well, by listening to step 10s from you and step 5s from you, you teach me who and what I am. I believed when I was young that these thoughts about food and about the world and how scared of it I was and am, I believed that this appetite for food, for lack of a better word, I believed these fears, these angers were secret unto me. I believe that. And I would never share them with anybody because I never heard anybody talk about the world or talk about food like I felt and thought about those things. I was scared of the teachers. I was scared of girls. I was scared of doctors. I was scared of everything. I dreaded everything. I was scared of the unknown, the untested, the untried, the unproven. Anything that was not familiar to me scared the crap out of me. I would eat in the same restaurant and sit in the same booth and order the same thing for years at a time. I wanted no changes in my life whatsoever. I was scared of anything and everything that wasn't familiar. And by listening to your 10 steps, I learned who I am and what I am through you. You enlighten me every day when you call me for a 10th step. So by listening to these 10 steps, I grow in understanding and I learned what a dishonest person I was or am. I learned that anxiety is something that riddled me. And I learned that other people have insecurities about relationships and about intimacy and about romance. And other people have these things. How was I supposed to know that? Nobody talks about that. Nobody talks about that I know. But when you call me for a 10 step, I grow in understanding and effectiveness because let me let you in on a secret if you're new. After the first while, you do the dance, not the dance, the march. Don't eat, go to meetings. Don't eat, go to meetings. Don't eat, go to meetings. And what you find out eventually, depends on how much you weigh, what you find out eventually is there are many layers of the onion that did not get attended to because I was so focused on the weight and the food. You hear this all the time. The longer you're here, the more you realize there are so many issues that need attention from me that have nothing to do with weight and nothing to do with food. How do I learn to get to these issues? By listening to you. Let's move on. I hope I made that point, because this is a key point in my survival. The steps don't just work for me, they work for you. And when we work them together, see, God brought us together in a very unique way here so that we could learn from each other. And in learning from each other, we start to break down barriers. I don't care if you're black, white, gay, straight, Protestant, Catholic, Jewish, Muslim. I don't care if you're Buddhist. I don't care if you're agnostic or atheist. You cut us, we all bleed red. Cut us, we all bleed red. We all have fears. We all have insecurities. We all have anger. We all have all these things. So I don't give a damn what you are or who you are. I want to know more about me. And the only way I'm going to learn more about me so I can grow in effectiveness and understanding is to learn from you. You are my professor, my teacher, my savior. You enlighten me. Don't stop. I'm not done learning yet. I'm not dead. This is not an overnight matter. It should continue. There's the third continue. We've had 3 continues so far for our lifetime. There's a woman in South Jersey. Her name is Naomi. She wouldn't mind me telling you that because she knows I tell this story all the time. I was doing a big book study in a place called Mount Laurel, New Jersey. Mount Laurel is in South Jersey. And in Mount Laurel, New Jersey, she came up to me at the church we were doing it in and said, "Could I call you when I'm done with the steps?" And I said, "No." And she looked at me like I was a jerk. I had 2 heads. And she said, "Why not?" And I said, "When you're done with the steps, you'll be dead. And there's no phone in the box." And so she looked at me like, "What?" And I explained it to her. You're never done. It should continue for our lifetime. Continue to watch for selfishness, dishonesty, resentment, and fear. For some reason, he didn't put self-seeking in there. So don't ask me in the question and answer period, why didn't Bill put self-seeking in step 10? Because I don't know. What is the difference between selfish and self-seeking? Selfish is my script. Self-seeking is the action I take to get you to stick to my script, my manipulation, if you will. My manipulation. Continue to watch for selfishness, dishonesty, resentment, and fear. What step did we use to deal with selfishness, dishonesty, resentment, and fear? Step 4. Now we're dealing with it again in step 10. So you're going to watch for these things because when you're disturbed, one of these things is rearing its ugly head, and selfishness usually leads the procession and fear is the caboose. Somebody's acting in a way that's not my script. Selfish. I'm afraid I'm not going to get my way in the future. Fear. Resentment is I didn't get my way in the past. Fear means I'm hoping to get I'm sad. I'm afraid I won't get my way in the future. I don't want to lose something I don't want to give up, or I'm afraid I won't get something I want. Hope that makes sense. So that's the first part of an operative step 10. You're looking at your disturbance. I'm mad at Rumpelstiltskin. Rumpelstiltskin pissed me off. Now I'm going to look at my selfishness, dishonesty, resentment, and fear. When these things crop up, not if, when these things crop up, what do? We ask God at once to remove them, steps 6 and 7. You're going to ask God here in step 10 to remove your defects of character. In other words, you've worked 4, 6, and 7. Because if you're asking God to remove your defects, that's 6 and 7. We discuss them with someone immediately. What step is that? Step 5. Does it say we email them? No. Does it say we text them? No. Does it say we whatever? No. Does it say we keep it to ourselves? No. Does it say we journal about it? You can, but you have to discuss it with another person immediately. And discussion means I don't just tell them. Sometimes they're going to give me feedback. And when they give me feedback, I may not like what they have to say because they're going to be objective and call my cards. We discuss it with someone immediately. Does it say we discuss it with 82 people? No, we discuss it with one person. And that means I'm not going to call somebody that I know is going to rubber stamp my BS. I'm going to call somebody that's in recovery that has the ability to be honest with me because I need honesty. I don't need brutality. I need honesty. So in this little half paragraph here, I've done 4, 5, 6, 7. So I'm calling somebody and I'm going to discuss. I'm mad at Rumpelstiltskin. Do I have to tell them the whole story? No, I give them a headline. I ask you for a headline when you call me on a 10-step. Give me the headline. Don't give me the whole Megillah. Don't give me the whole spiel here. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. And to drudge it up, it just makes things worse. I just need the headline, okay? We discuss them with someone immediately, step 5, and make amends quickly, steps 8 and 9, if we have harmed anyone. So we're going to discuss it and make amends quickly if we've harmed anyone, steps 8 and 9. So you've done 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, okay? Then we resolutely means with purpose, turn our thoughts to someone we can help. Step 12. Love and tolerance of others is our code. Now I'm going to issue you a challenge. I dare you. I double dare you. I triple dog dare you. I triple dog dare you to do a 10-step 3, 4, 5 times a day and eat Reese's peanut butter cups. You can't do it. Because you won't want to. Your brain will already feel better. Your brain will already feel better. You won't eat crap. You won't eat that stuff because you won't want to. You'll feel so good about yourself when you do this. You're making calls. You got to discuss it with someone. Then you're going to, if you have an amends to make, you got to call them, or whatever. You got to get in touch with them. You got, I mean, this is contact with people. God forces us out of our shell so we have contact with other people, and that's how we grow. And that's how I stopped hating myself. I did the deal here. I did what I needed to do. I didn't allow my fear and my ego to say, I'm not going to do this like other people. Somehow I'm better. Somehow I'm worse. Remember that the ego has 3 jobs. Make me right, make me feel good right now, and make me different from everybody else. So if everybody else has to do step 10, I don't have to do it. I don't have to do it. I have to do it until I want to do it. I have to do it until I want to do it, because the reward of doing it is so infinitely greater than the penalty of not doing it, that I no longer want to do that. I want to do the step. It's not that I love winning. It's that I hate losing. It's not that I love winning. It's that I hate losing. And I'll be damned if I'm going to go live the rest of my life, however long that is. I'm 70. I don't know how much time I have. I'll be damned if I'm going to live the rest of my life unable to sit on a chair without it breaking, unable to get in and out of a car, unable to sleep in a bed, unable to walk, unable to move, unable to go to a movie because I can't fit in the seat. I'm not going to live that way. Now I don't have to. So someone will call me with a 10 step. I'm mad at so-and-so. Okay, what'd they do? Just the headline. All right. So your selfishness. I'll say to them, what is the nature of your dishonesty? In other words, what's the lie you're either telling yourself and or someone else? Where's the dishonesty here? Where's the dishonesty here? I want them to see it, and I need to see it so I can learn about me. What's the dishonesty, the resentment, and what's the fear? Usually the dishonesty and the fear are married because the dishonesty comes from the urge to manipulate a situation so we don't lose something we have or we don't get denied something that we want. So, so fear and dishonesty are normally married. They're very, very married because one, protects the other. The dishonesty tries to alleviate the fear. And then we say, okay, let's ask God to remove the defects of character. I'm not going to psychoanalyze them. I'm not going to be psychoanalyzed here. I'm just going to say, okay, here's where I feel you need to make an amend, or not. But each case is going to be enlightening. And then we're going to make the calls for the amends, and you're going to reach out to someone else. It just makes you feel better. And this works like a charm. When I stood there in the ring of life, in the boxing ring with my dukes up, and I have this urge to eat Suzy Q's or Twinkies or whatever, and I'm going to stand there and I'm going to fight the urge to eat that stuff, I got flattened every time. My record was 0 wins and 2 million losses. 0 wins. I cannot fight the urge to eat. I cannot fight the urge to eat certain foods or practice certain destructive, fear-based, ego-driven behaviors. I can't do it. But by doing this step, it brings God into the equation, and I don't have to do it. Because God will do for me what I cannot do for myself. So in review, this is a very simple process. We start this process when they come out of 5 after that hour. You don't need a license from Harvard or Yale to do a 10-step. And I hear this all the time. There's many, many ways to do the 10th step, not according to what I'm reading, not according to what I see here on page 84. I do my 10 steps in the morning and in the afternoon or at night. I email it to my sponsor. That doesn't say that here. The 11th step is something you do in the morning and at night, but the 10th step is throughout the day. That's why the nighttime part of the 11th step is written about first, because it's assumed you've been doing step 10 all day. There's nothing in this 10th step instruction that says you can do it this way, you can do it that way, you can do it here, you can email it, you can text it. There's nothing in here that suggests that. Not at least maybe, I'm a product of Chicago Public Schools, but I still know how to read. I was one of the few that does. No, I'm kidding. But the bottom line is that Chicago Public Schools gets a bad rap. But the bottom line is I know how to read. Thanks to Mrs. Gieberman and Mrs. Armstrong, my my kindergarten and first grade teachers, and Mrs. Blum was my second grade teacher, and Miss Summerhill was my third grade teacher. I wanted to marry Miss Summerhill. I begged her to wait for me, but she wouldn't do it. And one of the saddest days of my life is when she came back from spring vacation We used to have a spring vacation in Chicago. She came back married. It was a very sad day. I often wanted her to wait for me so I could marry her. Okay. Anyway, let's go to the bottom of page 84. Enough of my Narishkeit, right? We only have a few minutes left. And we have ceased fighting anything or anyone, even food, even alcohol. For by this time, sanity will have returned. What does sanity suggest? What step does that suggest? Remember, I told you at the beginning of this that there's two most underutilized steps, 2 and 10. And the marriage between 2 and 10 is unbreakable. That when someone practices 10, they're actually enhancing their 2. And the word sanity comes from the second step. Came to believe that a power greater than myself could restore me to sanity. Why didn't he just say, came to believe that a power greater than myself could get me sober? Why didn't he say, came to believe that a power greater than myself could restore me to sobriety? Because sanity is so much greater than sobriety. The realm of sanity encompasses every aspect of a human life. Sobriety only suggests that at the moment you're not drinking. But when I'm sane, my bills are paid, and they are. When I'm sane, I'm wearing clothes. See this? I'm wearing one of my Ducks t-shirts because today we're at Wisconsin and we need to win. So I'm wearing one of my Oregon Ducks t-shirts on a Saturday because today's the game. This comes from the Oregon Duck gift shop online, and it is a normal size. I didn't have to order it through the big and tall section. You can't see this, but I'm wearing Nike sweatpants right now. And my Nike sweatpants did not come from the hippopotamus and elephant section of the online store. It came from the normal size. Wow. I'm sitting in a chair. You can't see it. Maybe if I do this, you can't. No, maybe not. I don't think so. I don't know. I'm sitting in a chair that they sell at Office Max or Office Depot or Staple, one of those places, and it has arms on it, and I can get up and get down, and I can sit in a chair with arms. Now, I know a couple of you understand how unbelievable that is. Maybe some of you don't. But I'm sitting in a chair that has arms. Wow. And I got room to spare. I got room to spare. We have ceased fighting anything or anyone is where we're going to pick up next week. But before we do that, we're not done yet. Don't stop the recording. But I want to show you the subtlety of Bill Wilson, how he ties in 2 and 10 by the word sanity. And I'm not fighting food. I'm not fighting food. I have to go to a place this afternoon where they have more free samples than you know what to do with. Every 5 feet is a free sample. You know the place. I don't even notice what they're doing. I don't care. I don't care. Take those free samples away from me because I don't want any part of them. I don't want any part of them. And I don't have to eat that. There's no law that says when I'm going through this humongous store that I have to have a free sample of God knows what. I don't. And I have to go there and they're going to be selling candy and cookies and nuts, and they have pizza and they have hot dogs, and they, as you're going out, they have a big thing with the pizza. They might as well have a big thing with steel or iron or copper or cotton or something. I have no interest. No interest at all. They may as well be selling airplane parts. I don't care. It doesn't faze me. It's not part of why I'm there. It's no part of why I'm there. So, all right. 2 and 10 are the most underutilized steps. Don't see them as a destination. See 2 as a journey, and that journey will last your whole life long. And the more you do step 10s, the more you learn from others who you are. Let them learn from you, you learn from them, and life gets much, much better. Next week, we're going to pick it up with, and we have ceased fighting anything or anyone. We're going to pick it up right from there, and we're going to do that. Now, I want to make a couple of announcements before I turn you loose. Ceased. Let me just write this down. Ceased. Okay. The OA birthday is coming up January 15th, or excuse me, 17th, 18th, and 19th. We're going to be in Los Angeles on the 19th of January, which is the actual date of the first meeting of Overeaters Anonymous ever in 1960. So it's going to be very, very special. The OA birthday is magnificent. It's a wonderful convention. Go to OALAIG. OA is Overeaters Anonymous, LA is Los Angeles, and IG is Intergroup. And click on the link for the birthday and get your room and get your registration for the convention. I know it's kind of scary because we all have a little social anxiety thing going because we've carried a lot of weight, blah, blah, blah. Okay, fine. Listen, we don't live to recover. We recover to live. This convention is going to expand your God squad. You're going to make some new friends. You're going to hear some magnificent speakers. I'm doing a 2-hour session on Saturday morning on the history of step 2, how to work step 2, how to find a higher power and perfect and enlarge your spiritual life. I'm going to do that on Saturday morning. There's going to be a sober eating workshop. There's going to be an opening speaker, a closing speaker, a dinner speaker. There's going to be a luncheon speaker. There's going to be a sober eating workshop. And there's going to be meetings on step 3 and 4 and 5 and 6. All the steps and all the traditions are going to get covered. And here's something else I want you to do if you're there. I want you to go into the room where Roseanne is on a loop of tape and listen to her talk about the history of OA, something that is very good to know. And if you've never met Roseanne, which most of you have not, you should know what she looked like. You should know what her voice sounded like. She's our founder. So go in there and sit down either by yourself or with a friend, because it goes on a loop. It goes all the time. Go in there and learn and be part of the convention. We are better off when you're there. So OA, LA, IG, do it today. You're going to be glad you did. And I'm just so happy to be here. And we're going to turn this over. Is there anything else I need to announce? Well, I guess you know I'm doing the big book on Saturday morning here, or you wouldn't be here. So I'm going to turn this back over to Carol. Carol, what do you got?
Thank you so much, Harlan. That was just amazing and very inspirational as always. And now I'm going to turn you over to Sue, who is going to do the questions and answers. Thank you, Sue. I'm going to stop the recording.
Carol. Everybody.